Let's talk the club. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk the club. Woo!
Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Cutler here on the Let's Talk the Cutler broadcast. So Let's Talk the Cutler YouTube channel, the Let's Talk the Cutler virtual book club. It is Tuesday, the 29th of August, and the month is coming to an end. How are you all doing? How are you with checking in on yourself, checking in with others, and just staying connected and maintaining connectivity and building community? What's going on? How's everybody this Tuesday evening? We're getting ready to spend these next 1,800 seconds together, and you all know how we do. This is all about inspiration. It's about motivation. It's about challenging ourselves to show up the best that we can, even in the worst of situations, making sure that I've shown up better today than I did yesterday, trying to be intentional and trying to be deliberate about showing up better tomorrow than I have today. And it doesn't mean that yesterday or today has been a failure or a flop. It means that we're just intentional about trying to get to the space that's called better, because what we know is that better doesn't happen 5 weeks from now, 5 months, or 5 years, but better happens as soon as I say in my heart and my mind, I don't have to be the way that I am. I can be better than this. I can be better than some of my situations. It doesn't mean that we're talking about being better than people or other folk. We're talking about rising above our situations, rising above our circumstances, and again, just trying to show up as the best version of us, trying to show up the best version of me. Because I don't know about you all, I can't show up as anybody else. Preachers would say I'm talking already, but I can't show up as anybody else. You can't show up as anybody else. That slot has already been taken. So we get together these Tuesdays and these Thursdays, and we're talking about how we can show up as our best selves, how I can show up better today than I did yesterday. And it's not about anybody else. We're not in a race with anybody. We're in a race with ourselves. Listen, tell people, come on and let's talk the color, because we're going to talk about the importance of consistency this evening. I'm going to shout out the LTTC VIPs in just a moment, but do me a favor. If this is your first time, if you're stopping by and you're catching the replay, do me a favor. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel, because we are building a community of people who really want to become better, a community of people who are not given to grief, or who are not necessarily given to jealousy or anything like that, but we're given to just motivating each other, trying to inspire each other, and sometimes challenging ourselves. I don't know about you all, but nobody can challenge me quite like I challenge myself. And it is okay for us to challenge ourselves, because when we find ourselves comfortable and doing the same thing the same way over and 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 over, and we never want to change, well, then that's not always good. But tonight, y'all, we're going to talk about how doing some things over and over and over really can be good. We're going to talk about the importance of consistency. Tell somebody, come on, let's talk the color. Meanwhile, let me do a shout out to those of you who are already in the chat. But before the shout out, let me tell you, after you subscribe, click the notification bell. It lets you know whenever I've gone live or uploaded new content. Based on your device, the notification bell either is down there somewhere, is up there somewhere, is over there somewhere, right over there, or over there. I just see if my head is turning the same way that is reflected here. I hope you all are doing okay. I hope you're doing well. Let me shout out the LTTC VIPs. Come on in the chat, because I see some of you all logged in, but you're not in the chat. And I want to see my friends. We only spend 1,800 seconds together twice a week, and I'd like to see you all in the chat. Come on in the chat, please. All right, let me shout out Linda Martin, Hattie Boone, and Annie Cutler. You are the first three that I see in the chat from where I'm sitting. And I want to tell you all the impetus of this conversation, why we're going to talk about what really gives birth to the conversation this evening. I was looking in an old journal. I do a lot of writing, and I was looking in an old journal, and let me tell you all what I saw. This is something that I wrote. I don't remember when I wrote it, but I wrote this, that just because the rhythm changes, that doesn't mean we stop dancing. And if the truth be told, the rhythm can change, the music can stop, it can speed up. It doesn't matter. But just because the rhythm changes, that doesn't mean that we have to stop dancing. Keep doing what you're doing. and don't let anything interrupt your groove or interrupt your flow. So the music changes, the rhythm changes, keep dancing. So I wrote, just because the model moves, that doesn't mean we stop painting. Life happens. I can't exactly recall what I was experiencing at this moment, but apparently it was about perseverance, and it was about the dynamics of life, and the transitions of life. But I was writing this. I wrote this to myself. Just because the model moves, that doesn't mean we stop painting. So even if you're in the middle of creating something and you get this distraction, keep doing what you do. Just keep doing what you do. I also wrote, just because the chords are different, that doesn't mean we stop singing. Life happens. Can you all tell that I was really trying to encourage myself? I was trying to do like the psalmist David. I was really just trying to encourage myself. Just because the chords are different, that doesn't mean we stop singing. Whether you're singing off key, in key, out of key, it doesn't matter whether you're singing in A or Z. Just keep right on singing. If the chords are different, if the chords change, just keep right on singing, you all. The bottom line here is don't let anything interrupt the good thing that you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Because when it's noble, when it's pure, when it's good, keep doing what you're doing. When it's just and there's virtue to it, keep doing what you're doing, and life will happen. Know that life will happen, but when the distractions come, you just keep right on going. Just because the distance grows, that doesn't mean that we stop loving. When life does what life does, you keep doing what you do. So I'm going to read this all again, uninterrupted, all right? Just because the rhythm changes, that doesn't mean we stop dancing. Just because the model moves, that doesn't mean we stop painting. Just because the chords are different, that doesn't mean we stop singing. And just because the distance grows, that doesn't mean that we stop loving. Let the distractions happen. Let whatever happens in life happen. And we're going to meet here these 1800 seconds every Tuesday and Thursday and encourage ourselves, inspire ourselves, motivate ourselves to keep on doing what we do despite the distractions. We've talked about distractions several times, but even with the distractions that you are in control of and the ones that you are not in control of, and those are the ones that really catch us off guard, but the distractions that you're not in control of, when it happens, just learn how to pivot. Learn how to regroup. Learn how, when your knees buckle, to stand back up and keep going. Learn the importance of consistency, because one of the things, it is consistency that wins the race. And we'll talk about that. Consistency is the thing that helps us to win the race. And some of our challenge is not being consistent. And that is not an indictment against any of us this evening. That is just a challenge. That's a personal self-challenge. How many of us can say that we've sometimes had challenges with being consistent? We start off good. We know that we're doing something good, but there along comes a challenge that knocks us off of this thing that we call our consistency bicycle. It happens with the best of us. It happens all the time. And we hear over and over and over that consistency is the key. We hear that. It was Anthony Robbins who said, it's not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives, but what we do consistently. That's the thing that shapes our lives. And it is a familiar story, isn't it? A lot of times you say things like, I decide to lose weight. I decide to go to the gym. I decide to work out. I decide to get up early. I decide to go for a morning walk. I decide to exercise. I decide to start eating healthy. And a lot of times we begin these activities, but something happens and we are not able to continue. Life is what happens. And life may come in the form of tragedy. Life may come in the form of other people interrupting. Life may come in the form of circumstances. Maybe I get busy, something important comes up, or I simply lose interest. And then we say to ourselves, now I've got to start the whole cycle over and over and over and start the cycle again. My connection is getting stuck every few seconds. Oh no, I don't know what's going on. You all let me know if you're having issues on if you all as a group, if everybody's having an issue. I don't know if I may have to restart. So let me know if all of you all are having a connectivity issues. All right. Please let me know that. But it is a matter of consistency, you all. Consistency really is the key, because if you're going to get up early, if you're going to exercise, if you're going to eat healthy, one of the things that I know and that we all know is that you can't do it once in a blue moon. Is that the country saying once in a blue moon? I don't know, but you just can't do it on an irregular basis. Doing something consistently and not just when you feel inspired, that is extremely important. We've all heard the story about the tortoise and the hare. the turtle and the rabbit, right? We've heard that story. The rabbit or the hare took off and was going very fast and got full of himself, got real cocky, and just decided, oh, all right, I'm going to take a break. I'm just going to run, 3-4 miles up the street, and then I'm going to slow down. I'm going to stop. But what happened? The tortoise or the turtle, as it may be, just kept right on going, consistently doing what it did. I was wondering the same thing because we know that some of you who have connectivity issues, there are storms taking place. And so I don't know if some of the storms where you are being, some of the places where you are, some of the towers are being affected. So if you're in a place where there are storms, you'll make sure that you take care of yourselves and make sure that you stay safe. All right. And I really mean that. Be physically safe with your surroundings and your space, particularly this today if you're in a stormy area. All right. But again, let's go back to the message this evening. All right, we'll be right here for you. So if you go out and come back, I'll be right here. But consider this, the story of the tortoise and the hare, you all. The slowpoke turtle won because he kept going consistently. What is consistently? What is consistency, Cutler? It's focusing on the task. Focusing on the task at hand in this present moment, but also maintaining a long-term vision. So yes, I'm focusing on what's in the present moment. I'm focusing on what's at hand. Good. Glad that your connection is better. I'm focusing on the task at hand. I'm focusing on what's here in the present moment, but I'm still maintaining a long-term vision. That's what consistency is. Consistency doesn't mean that I only look at where I am now, but it means that I look at where I am now coupled with maintaining a long-term vision. I look at where I am now, but I also focus on where I'm going. A lot of times when we do things, we get feedback and we like the feedback, and the feedback helps us to change our course when necessary, when required. Sometimes you don't need to change your course, because consistency, on the other hand, is all about repetition. It's about repeating the same action. It's not about changing the course. It's about repeating the same action. It's about repeating the same habits. It's about repeating the same rituals over and over again, gaining feedback from those actions and adjusting them accordingly, but stay in track with what you're doing. You're doing the same thing. Now, maybe I need to tweak it. Maybe I need to do it a little longer. Maybe I need to do it this way or that way, but I'm doing the same thing. And what makes consistency difficult, we all struggle with it. That's the thing. We sometimes get bored. We struggle with the idea of doing the same thing because we end up with distractions. Sometimes we become less committed. We become, here's the word. We become less disciplined. We become less focused. Doesn't it happen? Because think about it. In this day and age when we're looking for instant gratification, we are. And we used to say it's the age of microwave mentality, where we want instant gratification. And we used to attribute that just to a particular age group. But I think now more and more people are in the mode of wanting instant gratification. And if I don't get the instant gratification, then guess what? I change my ritual. I change my routine. I change my habit. I change what I'm doing. But consistency is not about obtaining quick results. It isn't. It is about maintaining your incremental progress over a period of time. It is not about, can I say that again? Consistency is not about obtaining quick results. Think about people who want to lose weight, people who want to become more fit, people who want to become more healthy. It's not about obtaining quick results. It's about maintaining that incremental progress over a period of time. I remember, and I shared this with you all, that during the throes and the height of the pandemic, many of us didn't notice that we were just sitting around. We were not getting out and moving. And I had just come off of a surgery, and having just come off of a surgery, and I think I had at the time, but more so than that, it was also the fact that I was not moving around, and I gained weight. And most people say, well, you can probably carry it because you're tall. I'm 6'4.5". And so people say, oh, well, you can just carry the extra weight. But my body said, nope, you can't carry the extra weight. So guess what? I set out to lose several pounds. And it was not about quick results. If I were looking for quick results, I would have never gotten started. But it was about maintaining incremental progress over a period of time. Thank you, Linda. Linda says, I exercise first thing every weekday morning, home gym, to avoid distractions or interruptions later that day. This works for me. And that's great. You get this time and you get in your groove and you set your routine, because it's about, and I love the way you said that, Linda, it's about knowing what works for you. You have to know what works for you to keep you on a consistent progress or consistent path. We just have to know. Because when you think about it, y'all, consistency is based on several principles. And one of the principles is patience. Patience is the key to consistency. I know when I said that, some of us probably said, okay, well, you just lost me there, Cutler, because I'm not the most patient person in the world. Many of us have challenges with our patience. But the principles on which consistency is based, one of those is patience. COVID did bring on the fat. LOL, it did. Thank you, Jason, for you. It brought it on for me too. But let's talk about being consistent, you all. Think about it, the principles on which consistency is based, and ask yourself, do I really maintain and exhibit these principles? So it's about patience. It is about value. Cutler, what do you mean value? The perceived value for a particular thing. Am I important enough? Am I valuable enough to keep going and going and going until I get what I want, until I get what I'm seeking, until I get what I desire? You have to see yourself as valuable enough to be consistent so that you can get what you're looking for. You have to. And not only is consistency based on the principle of patience and based on the principle of value, it's also based on the principle of belief. Cutler, what do you mean? You have to believe in what you're doing. You've got to believe in what you're doing. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to believe that you're worthy of it. Your consistency or lack thereof, your consistency or lack thereof and what you do is a good indication of your true belief about it. Because if you're not going to be consistent, then you really don't believe in it. Ooh, Cutler, really? You coming out of the gate with a whole lot of stuff? I'm just trying to help us, y'all. I know we like the inspiration. I know we like the motivation. But here tonight, I'm here to challenge us. Because some of us have picked up things and we put them down. We've picked them up, we put them down. We picked them up, we put them down. And we know that they were good for us. They may not have been good to us in the moment because they challenged us and there was a struggle and there were distractions and there were all of that. But I offer us tonight, I offer us the strength to be consistent. I offer us the resilience to let distractions fall off of our back. I offer us the courage to be resolute. That means I have a resolve. I'm sticking to what I'm doing because I'm valued. Thank you, Jason, for you. Yes, I'm valuable enough to be consistent. I've got to see myself as valuable enough to do the work to get what I want. I've got to put in sweat equity. I've got to put in blood equity. I've got to do what I'm going to do. I've got to do it. And I have to maintain it. I've got to do it incrementally. Even if my progress is just incremental, I've got to do it. So the question of how to become consistent, that arises. And can I tell you, here's some ways. Here's some ways to incorporate consistency into what you do. Set some reminders. I'm here to help us, y'all. You all know I only have 1,800 seconds, but I want to remind us, if you want to be more consistent, if you want to go after your goal, if you want to obtain your dreams, if you want to make your dreams reality, your hopes reality, your aspirations reality, if you want to realize your success, here is what you need to do. Be consistent. Cutler, how do I do that? 1, set reminders. Sometimes it's easy to forget goals. It's easy to forget the habits that you said that you were going to develop. It's easy to forget some of the commitments that we make. I've done them all. I've forgotten some of the goals I set. I've been distracted, forgotten some of the habits that I said I was going to incorporate, and I've forgotten some of the commitments that I made. So what am I saying? In order to remind yourself throughout the day, put messages to yourself in visible areas around your house, around your office, around your workplace, wherever you are. Put visible messages up around in your surrounding to say, you know what? Here are my reminders. I've got to be consistent. I love that, Tracy. You're right. Set your calendar alarm. It's a great reminder. I do it all the time on my phone. I'll tell the device on the iPhones. I'm not going to call the name because the person will start talking. Or I have lots of, can I tell you all this? In my house, I have Siri, I have Google, and I have Alexa. I have all of them in my house. Because in different places, I will set reminders. I'm telling you, I set reminders all the time. Color, do you really? Absolutely, I do. I set reminders. And if I don't use those, then I use these. I do it all the time. Or you seem like you have it all together. Listen, to a lot of people, many of us look like we have it together, but I set reminders just like everybody else. I like that, McDina. Know your whys. Why is this habit important to you? You've got to know that. And can I say something else in terms of not just setting reminders, but also reward yourself even when you get a small task done. We don't reward ourselves enough. Small goals, even small goals, deserve rewards because it acts as a kind of reinforcement. Rewarding yourself when you set when you meet even small goals, it will reinforce what you're doing. It will reinforce your why. I like that Rachel says, me too. Yeah. In terms of setting your calendar alarms and knowing your why. Tina, it's good to see you. Right. Set reminders. A behavior that is rewarded has a high chance of being repeated. Can I say that again? A behavior that's rewarded has a high chance of being repeated. Think about small children in your lives, and even when you were younger, if a behavior was rewarded, it had a high chance of being repeated. People would say to me, because I was I did well academically. And I was self-motivated. And I had classmates who did well academically. And I would hear about their families and parents rewarding them. Well, I think I remember saying to my mother once, "Mom, are you going to give me, do I get $1 for every A I make?" She said, "No." I expect you to make the A's. You've shown me what you're capable of doing. I expect you to make the A's. Well, so that was not a good example of behavior of rewarded behavior being repeated. I just knew I had to do it. As a matter of fact, I ended up telling people when people would say, "Oh, you don't have to be such an overachiever," and people would say, "Well, just settle for the C." And I said, "You don't know my mother. The only C that I can bring home is the C that's in my last name." But that was just an aside, and that was just a slight to just lighten the moment. But I'm telling you, a behavior rewarded has a high chance of being repeated. It really does, because you are acknowledging and appreciating yourself. It makes you feel good about what you're doing, and you're going to repeat it. So make yourself feel good about what you're doing, you all. The behavior that's rewarded has a high chance of being repeated. It really is true. It's good to see all of y'all. I prefer the paper reminder. McDina, I'm telling you, when Siri and Google and Alexa, when they don't work, this works for me all the time. I could stick this in the mirror in my bedroom. I could stick this in the mirror in my bathroom. I could stick this along the halls. I could stick it on my laptop. I could stick it on my phone. I could put this anywhere. And then not only that, you all, in terms of being more consistent, not only setting reminders, not only rewarding yourself, but understand this, that mistakes means correcting them. Make a mistake means correcting them. I say to people all the time, a mistake is called a mistake for a certain reason. An accident is called an accident for a certain reason. Those are not things that you intentionally do. Who's going to intentionally who's just going to thwart themselves? Who's going to sabotage their own progress? Now, sometimes we do it, but I'm just talking about making mistakes. Sometimes, despite our best planning, due to these external factors, we make mistakes. Can I say that again? Sometimes, despite our best planning, due to factors beyond our controls, we make mistakes. And mistakes, somehow, they give us feedback on how we can improve what we're doing. So take it as a learning process and say, you know what? I'm going to turn this lemon into lemonade. I'm going to turn this into a learning process. Sometimes we take mistakes as a message of discontinuing and just throwing the whole thing and throwing in the towel and stopping. No, don't do that. Some people sing the song, I just can't give up now. I've come too far from where I started. Absolutely. You're halfway. You're 3/4 there. You're 1/10. It doesn't matter. You've at least put 1 foot to walk across the bridge. You're closer toward the other side than you were 15 seconds ago. Keep on going. Just because you made a mistake, don't stop and just waddle there in the mud, but get up, brush yourself off, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and keep right on going. You're halfway, you're 1/4 way, you're 1/10 there, you're 1/25 way. Keep going, don't stop. That's what I'm talking about tonight. Never mind the distractions. Don't deal with the distractions. You've got to be more consistent and keep going. And whatever it takes, sometimes we have to use motivational tools to keep going. Whatever it takes to motivate you, do it. Sometimes we get stressed out. Sometimes we're tired, and it can be easy to just let go, to just turn loose and just to drop it all. But you all pick up the baton and keep on going. That's why it's important to remind yourself. That's why it's important to reward yourself. That's why it's important to understand that you are valuable enough to be consistent. Keep going. Never mind the distractions. Use motivational tools, whatever those tools look like. Whatever it looks like, keep going. And then allow yourself. A lot of times we give up because things don't happen as quickly as we want them to happen. But can I offer you this? Give yourself time to see the changes. Whenever you try to do something, understand that it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. So instead of trying to do it only once or twice, do it every day. Repetition is the key thing that we're talking about. Do it over and over and over and over again. And when you don't see results, do it again. And when you don't see results, do it again. And when you don't see results, do it again. Keep doing it until you see the results. And when you see the results, and then here's what you say, reward yourself. You say, you know what, I did it yesterday, but I don't see the results. So what? You didn't see the results. Reward yourself because you kept going. I want to encourage you. I want to motivate you because sometimes we give up. We give up too easily. Don't you all give up. Be more consistent in your life. Distractions are going to come. Distractions are going to go. And sometimes, I'll say this, sometimes you might even need to visit a coach or a therapist because these are trained professionals who understand that consistency really is the key to success. And if you're one of those individuals who really have problems and difficulties developing consistency, visiting a therapist or a coach can be extremely beneficial. Sometimes it's difficult for us to be consistent because we have underlying issues with the thing that we're trying to be consistent in. But I challenge us all this evening to keep going. You have to see yourself as worth your blood and your sweat and your tears. See the end result as worth it all. I'm going to finish the same way I started. Color, what was the impetus of this conversation? What gave rise or birth to this conversation? It is because I was reading something that I wrote to myself some time ago. Apparently, I was dealing with some challenges and I needed to encourage myself. I'm going to close this evening by reading the same piece that I did when I started. And I wrote this. So I wrote it. Again, I don't recall what I was going through, what I was experiencing, but I wrote this and I'm going to share it with you. And as I shared, I'm going to say this. Let's keep doing what we do. Let's keep building connectivity. Let's keep building community and maintaining connectivity. Stay safe, stay sane. Know that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. Tell somebody else, come on, let's talk to Cutler, because man is just trying to help save somebody's life. Please know this. Just because the rhythm changes, that doesn't mean we stop dancing. Just because the model moves, that doesn't mean we stop painting. Just because the chords are different, that doesn't mean we stop singing. And just because the distance grows, that doesn't mean we stop loving. Please know that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. Good night, everybody. I'll see you the next time I see you. Tell somebody, come on, let's talk to Cutler. Good night.